Welcome, I'm Chris Dowth from Rapid CRM. In this video we'll cover the features and functions of mQuote Cloud. mQuote Cloud is a development of our mQuote desktop product, formerly known as mQuote Manager. mQuote Cloud is designed to work with Maximizer's web access portal and a custom login page that we designed for tablets like iPads. mQuote Cloud can be used from browsers on Windows computers, Apple computers, or mobile devices such as tablets and smartphones. mQuote data is common to the cloud and desktop products. These products can be used as a standalone solution, or they can be used together so desktop and mobile users can share the same data. This video is a great resource for current mQuote Cloud users who want to get the most from the program. The video is also a useful overview of the features and functions of mQuote Cloud for organizations that are looking for a professional and accurate quoting system available from a browser. So let's have a look. So we can start mQuote Cloud through the Maximizer web access portal through the Actions menu and clicking on mQuote. We can also start mQuote Cloud from our special tablet login portal. By entering our Maximizer username and password, we ensure that only authorized people can log into this portal. We're going to select the company we want to work with and open mQuote Cloud. So before we add a quote, let's have a look at the setup. I'm going to click on the setup link and I'm taken to our mQuote setup page. These settings will control the contents of our quote pages, quote emails and acceptance emails. So we have some basic information like company name and address. We have some banking details if our clients decide to pay us by EFT. The last quote number will determine what the next quote number will be. So each time we create a quote, this number will increment by 1. If you want to set this number at a particular value, we can just go in here and update it. We can control the text for the paragraphs used by quotes and emails. Things like why choose us that will appear in a quote. This gives you an opportunity to highlight why a client should actually deal with you. Terms and conditions will also appear on our quote page. Payment terms will appear on our quote page. The quote acceptance paragraph will appear at the top of the page if a client accepts a quote. The quote body is the default text that will appear in an email when we've created a quote and we want to send our client a link. The quote body text allows us to put merged fields in our actual text so we can speed up the creation of the email body. Quote sign off will appear at the bottom of our quote email, and the order email body appears in the body of the email when a client places an order. Okay, so now we're ready to add a quote to our system. I'm back at our main mQuote page and I'm going to click on the Add button. The first thing we're going to do is put in a quote description. This is generally what the client has asked for and will appear by default as the subject of our emails. We can define the rep that's going to look after this particular quote, the expected date, which is when we think the client's going to place an order, and the expiry date that will appear in the quote and will identify when this quote is valid until. We don't have any totals yet because we haven't added any items. So let's go ahead and create this quote. And you'll notice that the quote number is an increment of the last quote that we set up previously in our setup screen. And the first thing we probably want to do is add an item. So when I've filled out my details, I'm going to click on the Add button. And you notice now that we have a total including tax and a tax. We can go and add some more items if we like. Let's go down and have a look at the history. The history section lists all the events that have been added by the system and also allows us to add manual notes about activities that have happened with this particular quote. So I'm going to add a note that relates to a contact that we've made with this client. So when I click Save, a note will be added to the system so we can refer to it later. We can also add links to our quotes so when the client opens our quote page, they have the opportunity to view additional information. We can add a URL as a link, or we can create a link to a file such as a PDF document. So these links will be available to our client later when they open up the quote page. It's also useful to add an overview to this quote. The overview will appear on the quote page when the client opens the quote and gives us a chance to tell a story about our product or services to create a compelling selling proposition. So I'm finished editing my quote, and now it's time to present it to my client. With mQuote, we don't actually email the quote to the client. We're going to email them a link to a page that exists on our Maximizer web server. This is a great way to control the contents of the quote. It means that there's no attachments or confusing text inside the email of the quote, and it just might save a Brazilian rainforest. So let's click on the quote button to see exactly what our client's going to see when they open up the quote from their quote email. We can customize the logo on the top left hand corner to include your own company logo. In the top left hand corner here we have summary information like create date, quote number, expiry date and totals. Down in the body of the quote we can display and hide different components of our quote. By default the overview is visible, the pricing is visible, and the client has a chance to have a look at things like why us, terms and conditions, the links that we created earlier, or if they want to see the whole quote they can just click on all. Now remember, back at the start of this video we set up some of these paragraphs such as the terms and conditions, why us, etc., and they appear in the standard quote form. The links that we created when we added the quote are available to the client so they can drill down for further information. So one of the links was to the product page that I added, and the other link was to a PDF document. So this is a great way to control what your client is going to see from your quote page. So if we're happy with what the client's going to see, we can go back now and email this quote as a link to our client. So back in our quote header page, I'm going to click on our email button. mQuote picks up the email from the Maximizer record. I'm going to change this so I can receive the email myself. The subject is the quote description that we added earlier, and the body of the email is the default from our setup. You'll notice that it's put in the quote number here straight from our quote and the subject that we added earlier into our quote header. So we can change this text if we like. The quote link is not modifiable. It's a unique ID of this quote document, and the client's going to click on this link when they open up the document, and we have a chance to change the sign off if we want. So I'm happy with the contents of this email, so let's go ahead and send it to our client. Now a few things have happened in the background while we have been doing things within the quote manager. So if we have a look at our history, we can see that we've added an overview. That's our original note that we added earlier. As you can see here, we've created a history when we actually sent the quote to our client. If we have a look back in our CRM system, we'll also notice that a few notes have been added to the Maximizer address book entry that this quote is related to. So you can see here that a note was added to the ABC Wine Shop when the quote was created in our quote system. So let's have a look at the email that the client will receive. So you can see here I've got an email with the subject of quoting system for mobile sales staff. And if I open up this email, you can see that there's a link here that my client can click on to open up their quote So you can see here that the client can drill down into the different components of the quote. The client has the option to print this page. They can send an email to us asking us to contact them. They can request more information, or if they're happy with the quote, they can click on Accept. The text at the top of the page comes directly from our setup that we did earlier. The client has the option to identify how they want to pay. We haven't implemented a credit card gateway yet, and credit card details will be stored in a special note in the system and will not be included in any emails to the client or back to our admin staff. Someone needs to authorize this acceptance. And the client has the option to add some comments to the order. So if I click on Process, quite a few things are going to happen. First of all, our quote's going to be updated. So you can see now that the status of this quote has been changed to order. We have a few history records added. One of the records that was added was a record that the client actually opened the quote. So even if they don't accept it, you can come back into the quote and see all the activities that relate to this quote in terms of what your client is doing. And we have here a history record that the client actually accepted this quote. If we have a look in our address book entry in Maximizer, you can see that a note has been added that they accepted this particular quote. From our CRM system, we can allocate this note to a particular security group so it's not available to everybody in the system. If we have a look in our email system, you'll notice that there's an email sent to our client that the order has been processed, and there's an email sent to our internal admin staff that an order has been submitted. So if we run our mQuote system again, you'll notice that the quote we created has dropped off this list. And that's because it's now an order and won't be included in our in progress list. We do have the option though to check all the orders for this particular client by changing the status filter. Thank you for watching this video. We developed mQuote Cloud to meet your mobile user quoting requirements. If you have some requirements that are very specific to your organization, we're quite happy to discuss customizing this product to meet your exact requirements. For current users, if you want more personalized training, please contact your Maximizer business partner or email support@rapid.com.au. If you're evaluating this product and you want a more personalized presentation, again contact your Maximizer business partner or email us at sales@rapid.com.au.